Let's make assumption busting a little more concrete by looking at one of our favorite examples of an industry with assumptions ripe for busting, the glamorous world of laundromats. We're probably all familiar with the many fluorescent-bathed laundromats that dot the streets of most cities. Although they may all look a little bit different, maybe the age of the machines, the color of the walls, the out-of-order sign hanging above the change machine, they all share one thing in common. They are some of the most unpleasant spaces to spend time in, only slightly edging out the post office and the DMV. So what exactly is going on here? Is the aesthetic appeal of laundromats simply a reflection of the economics of the business model? In other words, is fluorescent lighting and peach-colored paint all that laundromats can afford given their thin profit margins? Tell Howard Schultz, the founder of Starbucks, that, and I'm sure it would make him chuckle. Starbucks showed the world, or at least the US, that masses of people were not only willing to spend more than $1 on a cup of coffee, they were willing to spend 5 times that amount given the right atmosphere and service. Starbucks busted the long-held assumptions regarding the range of possible coffee behaviors of US consumers, and they completely redefined the market.
The truth about laundromats is simple. It's not about the bottom line. Laundromats are unpleasant places, not because they cannot afford to look nicer, but because their owners have come to the assumption that customers are satisfied with the existing price and value paradigm. And given the shortage of available alternatives, it's reasonable to conclude that customers are in fact relatively satisfied. Were laundromat operators to bust existing assumptions regarding the role that a laundromat could play in people's lives, and for example, make laundromats a place that we'd really like to spend some time, operators could open doors to whole new revenue streams. These new revenue streams could more than cover the cost of laundromat beautification. Just like Starbucks transformed the drinking of coffee into an experience which enticed people to linger around and purchase additional products, laundromats are perfect places to follow such a strategy, given that their customers are captive to their dirty laundry for an hour or longer at a time.
So let's set our opportunities within the laundromat business aside and discuss how you can locate the assumption-busting opportunities within your industry. Busting is a 2-step process, and like many approaches that can uncover large opportunities, it requires your time, your focus, and some of your best thinking. So the first step is to list the assumptions. Carefully look at the situation. What are the assumptions you're making about it? What seems so obvious that you would not normally think about challenging it? List out those assumptions. Once you get going, you'll find that you can't stop. And when you do, find the assumptions that are stopping you and challenge these. For example, I might assume that deliveries take a minimum of 3 days and that this is no problem for my customers. Remember that everything is a belief, even this statement, even your interpretation of this statement. If you can't find assumptions, then you're assuming that they don't exist. Then step 2 is to challenge the assumptions. Assume that all assumptions can be challenged and overcome. Ask, could it be possible that this is not true? And how do we know? Step 3 is to find ways of making the challenge a reality. This is another assumptive challenge. It's easy in a creative session to play games of challenging assumptions, but the real challenge is to make it happen in reality. So just use the same principle again. For example, here's the situation. We cannot sell this new product over the internet. The assumption is we don't have the technology. The busting is, well, we can learn, we can buy it. The assumption is buying it would be expensive. Let's bust that. You don't know until you ask. Hire a college student to do it. We have another assumption. A college student won't do it professionally. Let's bust that. Look at these sites he did in the past. He can at least do a trial site and prove the principle. Assumption, it won't work. Busting, a trial site would help prove this. In our everyday lives, we make an enormous number of assumptions about how the world around us works. Normally, this works just fine, but in creative situations, it can blind us to many possibilities. Assumption busting works by deliberately seeking out and addressing these previously unquestioned assumptions.
Remember, innovative solutions don't need to be complicated. They just need to be effective. And usually the best solutions are simple and elegant. There's a great story about a junior high that illustrates this beautifully. As we know, people, especially teenagers, enjoy doing the opposite of what they are told to do. In this middle school, the janitor named Elogio had to stay late every day to clean the lipstick marks off of the bathroom mirrors. He got tired of this unnecessary task, so he went to the principal for help. Unfortunately, that backfired. The lipstick marks doubled after the principal made an announcement about it. So Elogio decided to take a more creative approach. He asked for a short meeting with all the possible culprits at the bathroom where he told them about his daily frustration. He said, "Ladies, thank you for coming. Every day at the end of the day, I have to go through an unnecessary cleaning process. I'd like to show you, and I'm hoping that you'll be willing to help. If you look over here to the mirror, you see greasy lip prints that are difficult to get off. And I go home every day late because I spend so much time on these mirrors. I'd like to show you what I have to do every day. I dip the squeegee into the toilet to get it nice and wet. And then I wipe down the mirrors from top to bottom, just like this." Needless to say, their reactions were priceless. And we're pretty sure that they never kissed those mirrors again, or at least some of them. If you stay open to the possibilities, you may find that the best solutions are the simplest.